My parents have neglected me for my whole life because my brother is just miles ahead of me in every way, but now, after they've been shut off for 7 years, they texted me asking to meet, and it seems like a huge guilt trip. For whatever reason, my parents, 50F and 54M, didn't want me. Once they had my brother, 20M, who we'll call Adam, I, 25F, was pretty much ignored. They didn't abuse me, but I was pretty neglected. Everything was about Adam and how smart he was or how athletic he was or how he was just the best thing since sliced bread. Then there's me, a pretty average kid who got decent grades, didn't play sports, wasn't super popular, and liked to read books. I can't tell you how many times I heard, "Why can't you be more like Adam?" What made me cut off my family was when they didn't attend my high school graduation. Adam had gotten hurt that morning, a sprained ankle, I was eventually told, and our parents rushed him to the ER because he swore up and down he broke his leg. I only got one text from my mom telling me that they would make it up to me with a dinner to some family restaurant I mildly enjoyed. I was done after that. I had been used to be neglected or forgotten about, but I thought they would at least attend my graduation. I moved out that summer to go live with my cousin and her wife in Arizona. Then I blocked them and they haven't been in my life since. My family did try to get into contact with me after I left, but it was mostly just telling me I was a bad daughter and overly sensitive and didn't care about Adam. Years later, I still don't have any contact with them. I'm now married to my husband John, who loves me and treats me like I matter. We also have a daughter, too, that I love more than the world itself. I have a close-knit group of friends and a job that makes decent money that I enjoy. I'm not saying my life is perfect or a dream or anything, but it's definitely leagues better than my childhood. Which brings me to last week, when my cousin called to tell me they had a message from my parents and my brother. This isn't anything new, but the message itself was. Instead of the usual blame game, my cousin told me that they wanted to apologize for everything. With Father's Day coming up, they were hoping I could come down to visit with my family and we could have a discussion. I know most people would scream, "Don't, it's a trap, they want something from you," but I'm not so sure. For one thing, none of them have ever reached out to apologize for anything towards me. But I still have connections to my extended family, so I have info about my parents and Adam from them. None of them are sick or dying and need an organ, they're not in debt and need help with finances, my parents aren't hoping to retire and want to be supported, Adam doesn't need help with student loans, scholarship kid, so it could be genuine. But at the same time, I don't know if I care enough to have a discussion. My life has been great without them, so why do I need them now? I wanted them as a kid, but not anymore. However, John says this could be a genuine olive branch since they never apologize. He might be right. Even if I don't agree to have contact, I might finally get some closure or at least some answers as to why they didn't want me or why Adam was so much better than me. Should I hear them out or just tell my cousin to tell them to go step on Legos? I'll take any advice at this point. Update. Hey guys. A lot of you gave solid advice on my first post, and I really appreciate it. I did ask my friends for their own advice too, but they had more bust their kneecaps school of thought. Funny, but not so helpful at the time. Anyway, even though a lot of you warned me, I was just too curious to not talk to my family. Still, I told my cousin to tell them that I was not meeting them for Father's Day. I had always intended to reject the idea. I wanted to celebrate John and my Phil for being awesome, and that I wanted to do a Zoom meeting instead. I was expecting them to pitch a fit, but they agreed. Yesterday, we met on Zoom. I made sure to have the meeting at my cousin's house because my house is my space and I don't like intruders, whether in person or virtual. John was hiding in the room out of sight, and my daughter was with my cousin's wife. Long story short, my mother is a revolving door and both my parents are idiots. To make it a longer story, my mother had an affair with my Uncle Rick, my dad's older brother, and got caught after she found out she was pregnant. My dad forgave her and agreed to raise me as his as long as they never did a paternity test. Apparently, it was easier to act as my father if he didn't have confirmation that I was his brother's child. Spoiler alert, I'm not Rick's kid. Unfortunately for me, I have always been my dad's bio daughter. Rick apparently can't have kids, and my dad only found out on Mother's Day when Rick's wife made a joke about it. So my parents just resented me all this time because they were convinced I was Rick's child, despite not having proof. It didn't help that I was just so mediocre compared to Adam, like how Rick is compared to my dad. What I mean by that is that my dad has a fancy desk job and a titled position and Rick is just your average truck driver. So clearly that must have meant I couldn't be my father's child. R/swoosh. They begged for forgiveness. My mom tried to blame my dad for not taking the test. My dad tried to blame it on my mom for being a truck stop for Rick. But they both wanted me to forgive them because they were sick with regret of how they treated me over a misunderstanding. They swore up and down that, even if they weren't always there for me, they still loved me and were still my parents and we can be a real family now that the misunderstanding was finally cleared up. Even Adam was pushing hard for it. People ask about our relationship in my last post, but there's not really much to say. He was like a roommate. I was never bullied by him and he didn't really interact with me, though he definitely reveled in our parents' favoritism. Still, they were all very sorry, but I had to understand why my parents acted like they did. Now, everyone wants to make it up to me and be part of my life again and be the best grandparents and uncle they can be to my daughter. I obviously told them no. Anyone with eyes could see they just wanted forgiveness to make themselves feel better. I told them that my life was better without them and I didn't need them anymore. They got mad at that and called me heartless and cruel and a bad daughter for being so unforgiving and for not being more understanding towards them. Because it was just a mistake that I had a bad childhood and had to play second fiddle to Adam. I just told them to forget I existed and ended the call. Then I burst into tears, and my husband had to comfort me. Their insults didn't hurt me, even after all this time of no contact. I'm used to that. But all the time feeling like crap and wondering what I did to deserve my mistreatment was just a waste. All because my parents were massive douche canoes with chicken nuggets for brains. I'm glad I didn't waste money to go see them. I'm also glad I heard them out for my own closure. They're trying to aggressively reach out and contact me, even getting other relatives to do so. I've already got a bunch of emails and texts this morning ranging from pleads to just hear them and insults about being cruel and heartless. I've been ignoring them, because I've washed my hands of my family and will continue to remain in no contact. So yeah, thank you for all your advice. It meant a lot.